Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruchak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I just wanted to speak on this these riots, okay, here going on in Los Angeles, as we've been seeing. Right, I was hearing all about it yesterday, with how basically it started escalating more and more and more. You know, it almost sounds like it just like sparked right out of nowhere. Now, I remember, see if I can find it. I don't know if hopefully I linked the article to it in the video that I did of it. But I remember doing a video, maybe it was last year after Trump won the election, about how on the Democratic side, they were talking about um, this like planned, riots, okay, that would take place, right? That they would plan, it would sort of go forth with um, under Trump's reign from the Democratic side. I want to see if I can. Was it this? No, that's not it. On the verge of a violent. It might be this one here. Just one second while I look through. But I definitely remember a return to rage. It's probably one of these somewhere here. Yeah, probably either this return to rage here or no, it's not. Anyway, it was one of those, but they were mentioning that they would call for basically like riots and yada yada under his reign, sometime into it. So immediately that came to mind when I was looking at this. But this time, let's see, right? Because some years ago, around getting towards the summertime as well, you had the whole George Floyd protest, which was, I think it was under Trump. And back then, they didn't do anything drastic, but now he's back in office again. And now this is a different kind of situation, right? Like that was, at least as the story goes, right? Like you've seen the video and so on. That was like Anita My Cop, say put in unaliving an Israelite, right? But in this case, this is sort of going against the policy, really one of the main driving policies that Trump used to for his campaign, right? About like deporting illegals and cleaning up in the country and all of that kind of stuff. So let's see, how they end up, handling this kind of situation and so on, right? Because now this isn't a like people against, government kind of thing, but it's more so like a divide, right? Like a left against right, all that stuff. So it says Los Angeles braces for another day of chaos as Newsom pits Marxist color revolution against Trump admin. Los Angeles is bracing for yet another day of what appears to be coordinated rioting sparked by mass arrest of illegals by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Now, when you actually look at the kind of people, right, that are being arrested, you do have individuals that are like regular people, right, family members and so on. But amongst that, you also have people that are like drug dealers, right, or people that are running human trafficking rings and all of those kinds of stuff. It says the unrest has involved organized elements affiliated with far left activist cells, including Marxist-aligned nonprofits. The situation over the last 2 days has quickly deteriorated into looting, arson, including the burning of vehicles and direct assaults on law enforcement personnel. Indicators suggest a high degree of premeditation and online mobilization in what appears to be an attempt by Democratic Party aligned actors to ignite a Mexican version of the Black Lives Matter riots, echoing the chaos seen during the 2020 Summer of Love Color Revolution. I think that's what it was. And like I said, this is, I'll see if I can find the video I did on it and maybe just link it in the description or in the comments. But this is what they were saying last year. So it says here, scenes from New York and Los Angeles, your typical Democrat ran cities. These are not protesters, they are DTs. Let's take a look here.
It's so wild keeping track of both of these scenes.
This is a rusting violence there in New York City. This is all outside of a federal building. That officer holding her eyes. A person seemingly being detained.
Yeah, I don't know why the quality dropped that low, but
hands behind her back, being detained by officers.
and there are many, many, many more of these, kinds of videos here that you'll see, right? It says on Saturday, the Trump administration announced they were federalizing 2,000 California National Guard troops, while DHS Secretary Kristi Noem also chimed in, posting on X that protesters who use violence against officers will be prosecuted, writing, "You will not stop us or slow us down." It says here, President Trump also blamed California Governor Gavin Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, saying in a Saturday night truth that they can't do their jobs, that if they can't do their jobs, then the federal government will step in and solve the problem. And that's the part that we're interested to see. How are they going to solve the problem? And how much is this problem going to escalate into, right? And what will be the solution then, right? Says here on Sunday, Trump posted, "Great job by the National Guard in Los Angeles. After 2 days of violence, clashes, and unrest, we have an incompetent governor and mayor who were as usual just look at how they handled the fires, and now they're very slow permitting disaster. Federal permitting is complete, unable to handle the task." Yeah, I think these little parentheses in here, interesting stuff. Anyway, these radical says these radical left protests by instigators and often paid troublemakers will not be tolerated. Also, from now on, masks will not be allowed to be worn at protests. What do these people have to hide, and why? Again, thank you to the National Guard for a job well done. See, so, I mean, we're starting to see this here. Is it going to stop here? Let's see, right? Because depending on how it goes, we already know, right? Pursuant to precepts like Isaiah 19:2. All right, let me actually pull that up real quick. Isaiah 19. It says here, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians." Now, we know in Isaiah 19, this Egypt is referring to America or Babylon, right? It's not talking about ancient Egypt. So the Egyptians would be today known as the modern day Americans, right? And so setting them against each other, it's like a divide, whether it's a civil divide, by political divide, race, whatever the case may be. And partially looks to be a mix of a couple of these factors, right? "And they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." And what we're seeing here is, examples of this. But we know, according to prophecy, these are really just like they don't even qualify as appetizers. This is like the water they bring you when you go to a restaurant before you even get to order food, right? Compared to what Jacob's trouble is going to be like. So I'm gonna play a couple of these. I'm gonna play a couple of these, or I scroll through some of this these visuals here and link this article in the comments so you can access it yourself. But we're living in a time now where everything is everything has a narrative, right? Everything has a motive behind it. So whether these are orchestrated on the sense of, we know that the left and the right are two wings on the same bird, right? Two sides on the same penny. So from the high level, to make it look like one side is purposely orchestrating it against the other and all this psyop and whatnot, or it's organic, right? Or a mix of both. That really doesn't matter as much. What matters is what it ends up leading to, right? Because one situation happens and then it unfolds into another and into another, and the next thing you know, you have a much more different looking situation on your hands than what you started with. It says late Saturday, a Border Patrol Black Hawk helicopter could be seen unloading dozens of boxes of guns and ammo. Excuse me.
It's a surreal sight. This Black Hawk moved in just in the last few minutes from the Border Patrol, landing at that Homeland Security office on the Paramount side, right next to the Home Depot, and they are unloading this huge helicopter with, just boxes and boxes, dozens of boxes of ammunitions, less lethal weaponry. You see these tanks with flammable labels on the side, one after another, an entire shipment.
And as you heard him say, right, less lethal, and so on. Now, what's really where it's really going to get interesting is when you get to the point where one day, things get so bad, whatever the case may be, whatever, incites it, it gets so bad that now they have to use or give them the green light to use lethal weapons. Okay, that's where, now you're in a different kind of atmosphere, right? Because now you're using deadly fire, right? You're using lethal weapons. And things would have to get really, really bad in order for them to be able to justify that. But with somebody like Trump in office, he's the kind of guy who would say, well, I think we have reason enough too, right? But even still, then you would need a reasonable amount of chaos, right? From the so-called protester side or whatnot in order to justify taking extreme means like that. Because now when you're dealing with deadly fire, you're basically dealing with like martial law, right? You're under a warlike rule, because that's what happens when you're in war. Says here, Los Angeles is openly refusing to cooperate with ICE, siding with illegals or illegal aliens over American citizens and small businesses. Now, Los Angeles or LA, right, is not one person. So as we read in Isaiah 19, right, it mentioned everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. And that's what we're seeing here, right? We're seeing a divided kingdom. We're seeing different states, right? We're seeing different parts of different states. And there's this division, right, between them. Some are state against state. Some are state against federal. It says, therefore, effective immediately, at SBA Gov will begin relocating its regional office out of LA. If a city won't protect its people, we won't stay. So it says, Mayor Karen Bass, we will not stand for this. This morning, we received reports of federal immigration enforcement actions in multiple locations in Los Angeles. As mayor of a proud city of immigrants who contribute to our city in so many ways, I am deeply angered by what has taken place. These tactics show terror in our communities and disrupt basic principles of safety in our city. My office is in close coordination with immigrant rights community organizations. We will not stand for this. So, like I said, the point to highlight here is that divide. That division. And how far will it go? Well, we have to watch and see. It says here, yeah, once again, the infamous BRICS. It says here, what do we have here? The palette of BRICS have reappeared, echoing the same tactics seen during the 2020 riots. So here you have pallets of cylinder blocks have been discovered right near the riots in Los Angeles. Civilians are not the ones putting this there. Okay, they're now being used as weapons against federal agents. Who put these here and who paid for them? Hmm. What else do we have here? Who's behind the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles? Hundreds took to the streets this weekend, blocking roads, attacking federal officers, even burning flags. But this wasn't spontaneous outrage. This was organized, funded, coordinated. Here's a breakdown of and then we have it here. Now, what you need to keep in mind as well is this is what you're seeing here, and what you're going to see more of is the planned breakdown of a society, right? For remodeling, you can put it. Yeah, even if you in your own house or in your own apartment or whatever the case is, if you want to make it better or you want to change things in it, you need to break down so you can rebuild. You need to move certain things out the way. If it's just rearranging, you still need to do away with the original look, right? The original way to bring the new one. And if it's a house that you're renovating, you got to break down and then build anew. So this current position that we are in is a transitioning period, right? This is the pains, right? The growing pains or the side effects of that transition, which is where you have that chaos and you have the people, not happy with certain things, and then the divide is very steep and so on and so forth. That's a part of that transition of the breaking down of the old and the ushering in of the new. All right, what else do we have here? As a reminder, it says further assessment is ongoing to determine the operational structure behind the violence and any external influence or coordination exerted by foreign adversaries. As a reminder, while riots rage in Los Angeles, LA's Mayor Karen Bass was a Fidel Castro supporter. She was a member of the Venceremos Brigade and made 7 trips to Cuba during the 1970s when it was illegal for Americans to do so. Later, she traveled there with Obama in 2016. Okay, interesting stuff. Um, One of the leading organizers of the violent LA ICE riots is the Coalition of Humane Immigrant Rights. They are currently receiving 6-figure grants from at DHS Gov for citizenship instruction and naturalization services. So that's the thing too, right? And now whether they're banking on people actually doing this or not, it might be playing into their narrative, right? Which is that you put something like this out there based on your simulations you've run, you see that people with access to the internet will go and do this work here, right? And this can be seen like adding more fuel to the fire. Maybe it's the fuel that they want, right, for their divide. As more people look into it and say, hey, we just found out that this group is linked to this group and is tied to this group and is this to this. Wow, this is worse than we thought. Oh, look at that. Violent extremist Antifa militant Craig Tiones is directing his fellow violent comrades to attack videographers and for documenting the far left insurrection in Los Angeles. He's furious that 2 have captured raw video of the violence. Interesting. Hey, Trump world, why TF is the National Endowment for Democracy still getting government funding? Do you like riots? Because this is how you get riots. Yep. I smell CIA/deep state all over this. Sanctuary cities like LA. Oh, now another thing, right, that just came to mind is on Instagram they have these like AI bots that you can conversate with. Like they'll show you as you're scrolling, oh, would you like to chat with like Jane AI, and just have a conversation with her and all that kind of stuff. And they have profiles that look just like another person's page, profile picture and everything. So now with that kind of technology as well, it's not um, it's not impossible or even that far-fetched to have some of these X pages that are posting some of these comments or posting some of these, like making some of these posts with certain information, really just be AI created pages, right? That is being used by, as they refer to them, the deep state or the CIA, to sort of throw breadcrumbs or hints here and there that can lead the people in a certain direction that they want, right? Like, oh, crucial information came out from this page on X about this, that, and the third. Wow, we didn't know that. Oh, wow, it's sparking more outrage. Yada, yada, yada. And then, the videos go on and on and on. Antifa and Mexican nationalist riots or rioters in Los Angeles use a stolen refrigerator as a makeshift shield against federal enforcement. And as you can see, there's more videos here. Yep. And so you got all this, and like I said, this is one thing, but it's another when it's no longer just like bricks being thrown or rubber bullets being shot at people, right? Rioters are now looting in stores, right? So it's pretty much just like a repeat, like a visual of that time in 2020 with all those protests and those riots. But now we're closer to that time of Jacob's trouble than we were back then, right? So once again, I mean, is this a catalyst for something else? Let's see. Right, let's watch and see, as Yahushua said. And then there's more and more. Oh, so here's an interesting one. Second Esdras 15 comes to mind, right? There shall be sedition among men. And matter of fact, let me just pull it up here, because that's also prevalent right now. Second Esdras, and just that second. That's why Ezra saw in the 9th chapter, right, that there shall be uproars of the people around the world. We're seeing that as well, right? Now this is Second Esdras chapter 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Now, once again, when you look up sedition, it's different than insurrection, right? Sedition is the conduct or speech inciting people to what? To rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. Now, what is this? Los Angeles City Council member Eunices Hernandez calls to escalate the riots against ICE agents. That's pretty much sedition, right? To incite others to, as it says here, rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. So let's take a look.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics. Because community defense works and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger.
See that? So that when you get the people like, oh yeah, you know what, she's right, and then that's an example. So Ezra saw these things, right? And if he saw these things, and we're seeing them now, then the other things that he saw, guess what? We'll see those as well. It says here, a key question emerging from the unrest is the extent to which illegal aliens are participating in the riots, and whether any individuals or groups may be acting under the influence of foreign intelligence agencies intent on fomenting social unrest within the U.S. Now, that's also another good point, because now when you start to have like groups like gangs and certain organizations and affiliates that are already in the country that have different motives, that can utilize having been able to sneak in here while the border was open, or having the backing of maybe a foreign agency or being tied to like a cartel or a gang, they have weapons, right? And they have means, and they also have numbers as well. So, should that be the case, then you have, like I said, a different scene, right? Now you're not dealing with just people, putting masks on their face and throwing, rocks and bricks and so on at law enforcement. But now you have people that are armed. Going back to Second Esdras again, jumping up a verse, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. Okay, and today, most people don't run around with actual swords. Rather, they run around with guns, which are the equivalent, right, of like a sword in the ancient world. So, just wanted to bring that out. Let's see where it goes, but still newsworthy to keep in mind and watch. So, Lord willing, this is edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruchak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.